Hey everybody, happy Saturday night. Today is May 10th, 2025. This is Across the Pitch post-game show. I'm solo right now. I might be joined by the other people who were at Super Park. I was there for the first 45 minutes, and then I shot back down, or up, I guess, to South Jersey, and I got to watch the remaining about 25, 30 minutes of the second half. Um, there's a lot to discuss tonight, and I already have some comments coming up. Valerie joins us first. What a game, she says. I saw the first 10 and last 10. I can't wait to hear about the other 70. As I'm sharing these links out on social media, real quick here for the people who are just joining us. For me personally, it was a very long day. I started out my day in Del Mar, Maryland. For anybody who doesn't know where Del Mar, Maryland is, it's about 2 hours and 10 minutes or so south of Chester. So I worked a surveillance case. For those who also don't know, I do part-time surveillance work for a private investigative company. So I was doing that for 10 hours today. And as the hours passed along, I was just eagerly waiting this matchup between the Philadelphia Union and Columbus Crew. Not only because I love being at Super Park, not only because Daniel Gazdag was coming back to town, but this was a battle of the top two teams in the Eastern Conference. We had the Philadelphia Union at second place at 22 points, and then we had the Columbus Crew in first place with 24 points. So there was a lot to discuss and to anticipate for tonight. But as domesticated Hoagie joins us tonight and says highly disappointed, as much as I had such a high entering this game, like I said, after a long day, and the first 45 minutes were promising, and then the second half really you felt great. To end it the way you did just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth. Now, you can look at this a few ways right here. You could say, well, if you told us at the beginning of the season that we would have had a 2-2 draw at home versus the Crew, we'd probably all take that, right? Um, Knowing how good the Crew have been over the last couple of years, knowing the rosters, the comparison between the two teams, I think a lot of people on face value, no context at all, would have said a draw against the Crew, even at home, is a plus. But the problem is that once you look at the context of this game, this feels much more like a loss than it does a draw. But before we get too far ahead, let's just kind of break things down. First of all, I'll plug some stuff. If you don't follow us on Facebook or YouTube yet, it's AAT Sports Network. Please follow us there so that way you never miss a show. Our Twitter handle for myself rather, is Embraer1323 on Twitter. Find me there, Miguel Reyes on Facebook for those of you who watch on Facebook. If you haven't purchased any gear yet, I'm actually wearing one of my shirts now. We have some Across the Pitch gear. You can see the hoodie I actually got from Jose today, finally, across the pitch there. So just a quick plug there for our stuff. If you're interested, send me a DM. They're not that expensive. Very comfortable hoodie, actually. I'm very pleased with the hoodie. But let's get down to nitty-gritty here. Eric Hall says, absolutely cannot allow that goal in the 93rd minute. Feels like a loss. Absolutely, Eric. So let's start with the first half first. Let's start with the pregame festivities first. Daniel Gazdag was welcomed back to Super Park. It was a nice round of applause for Daniel. A quick tribute video as well from the Union to that for Daniel. I thought it was nice. Overall, happy he's back. Happy to see him. I think if we want to talk about his performance overall, I wasn't overly impressed. Wasn't disappointed. I thought he played fine. Didn't really bother the Union too much. I believe he fell down at one point too as well, which reminds me of very much of the PK in the MLS Cup. But overall, I think Daniel did fine. It's nice that, because he did have a knock recently this past week and a half or so, it's nice that he actually got to see the field and play some considerable minutes. I think he played like 60, 70 minutes. Domesticate Hody asks, did you get your scars from Jose? Yes, I did. I have them in my car right now. I just ran inside to get myself organized, but he gave me a T-shirt for Across the Pitch. He gave me the mug for Across the Pitch. He gave me the Mazatlan scarf from last year when they visited, and a Cruz Azul kit. So I had given him money throughout the past year for my stuff, and finally we met up today. And actually, he didn't even give it to me. I'm gonna hold him accountable. He didn't give it to me, Domesticated Hoagie. He gave it to Jillian Almany, who then gave it to me. So he kind of handed it off. But yes, I did get my stuff. Eric joins us, says that's not good enough. These two goals were absolutely horrendous. The defense that we had questions about let them down twice. It wasn't an earned win, which pisses me off more. Now, let's get right into the nitty-gritty here. Daniel Gazdag, he did fine, etc. The bright spot for tonight, in my opinion, mainly in the first half especially, was Andrew Rick. We have talked about his progression I think of the last two episodes, almost ad nauseum at this point between my show as well as Todd's show. Andrew Rick is, in my opinion, quite clearly the heir apparent for Andre Blake. Considering Andre Blake cannot seem to ever stay healthy, these opportunities for Rick, especially in an atmosphere in against an opponent like this, is absolutely fantastic for his development, for his confidence, etc. In the first half alone, I know he had one really great save. He might have had a second one, but what we saw from Rick, which sometimes doesn't get seen from Andre Blake, and I think a lot of people have criticized Blake over the years for maybe his distribution isn't that great. I was in the river end for the first half, and the Union were defending that side of the field. You see Rick has the ball and clearly has Quinn wide open on the left-hand side. A perfectly placed ball by Andrew Rick and a phenomenal trap by Quinn Sullivan. And then a really great pass into the box that finds Ty Baribo. Now, we've talked about Ty Baribo being almost like, where's Waldo? Where the hell has he been? He comes in clutch right at the right time, right before the half ends, and puts it up 1-0. Now, again, Quinn Sullivan, credit to him for that moment, that trap, that cross, credit to Ty Baribo. But what Andrew Rick did there at 19 years old was excellent. And it gives us a lot of promise for the future because with Andre Blake's contract soon coming to an end, maybe a year or so, I can't remember the numbers right now off the top of my head, and Andrew Rick at 19 years old right now, you want to see that him at 21, 22 is going to just come right in and make it a seamless transition for the goalkeeper of the future. I thought Andrew Rick had a great game. And to Eric's point, the defense really left him out to dry. But we'll get to that in a second. Also, I saw on some Twitter page, etc., Rick is the youngest goalkeeper to have an assist. I think he was 19 years old in 100 days or something along those lines. So congratulations, Andrew Rick, for getting the assist to be the youngest goalkeeper to get an MLS assist. So again, Andrew Rick had a pretty strong performance overall. I think he kind of, I wouldn't say erase the memory of the mistake he get against NYCFC. I don't want to forget that he did have that moment, but you can see that he doesn't think about it too much. It was a quick short-term memory. He stays aggressive. He stays playing his game. He's very confident. I think after the PK save against Indy 11, along with the PK saves in MLS Next Pro, it's clear Andrew Rick is playing at a very high level and confidence, and I'm very, very happy to see that, considering Andre Blake is still MIA, missing games for what now seems to be like 3 years in a row. But in the first half, I think what we saw a bit was what I was concerned about and what Eric is kind of bringing up here. We had fortunate moments against DC United. We had fortunate moments against Montreal. And I said in this past show on Thursday, my concern is that this team is going to get burned by a better opponent. Now, we saw Mandy says, hola, friends. Hello, Mandy. Thanks for joining us as always. I appreciate the support here. In the first half, I thought we got lucky. Granted, did Andrew Rick come up clutch for us? Yes. But I did think that the Crew could have probably put one into the back of the net. But we held them off. It was 1-0. If you want to look at the first half performances that I was impressed with, I thought Glessons played pretty solid. I think I counted at least 2 or 3 tackles that he had on the ball that turned the ball over. I thought Glessons was fine in the first half. Nathan Harriel. Now, Mandy, I believe Dan as well. You guys had mentioned in our Thursday episode with Jose Nunez, hey, what's going to happen with the center back? What is going on? We bring in Ben Bender. That's great. We have some depth there, but now we're kind of thin at center back. And I had mentioned that I think Nathan Harriel is just basically the guy right now who's going to take that role. And again, we saw Nathan Harriel starting at center back. I thought Nathan played well. I thought in the first half he had some solid moments. I think the entire backline had some pretty solid moments. But also, in front of that backline, I thought Lukic and Danley both had really strong games. So the backline in the first half was pretty solid overall. I was pleased by the individual performances there. Entering the half, I mean, I was heading home because, again, like I said, I left at halftime. As soon as the halftime whistle blew, I ran to my car, got in, went up 295 to get the jersey. And I'm thinking, like, I didn't want to leave. I just wanted to grab a drink and come back to the stands because it was one of those things. Like, this team's really playing well. And I'm feeling very confident in the individual performances. I didn't think anyone was playing poorly that night. Mandy did say, I did literally bump into Ivan tonight, so if he needs a few more weeks of recovery, my bad. Well, listen, if Glavinovic is still hurt, we know why. Thanks a lot, Mandy. But at this point, the way Nathan Harriel's playing, Harriel and Glavinovic will certainly be battling for that center back starting role, which, as Carnell has said throughout the season so far, the very short season, it's only been about 12 games. We want to see competition at all positions. So for Glavinovic and Harrell to be battling for that second center back position, I'm not concerned by that. I think it's a great problem to have. And listen, throw McConaughey into that mix. I think McConaughey had an okay performance say in his limited time. Throw him into the mix. And Pierre, once he gets healthy, you're going to have several players competing for that second center back position, which is great. Eric says, this is exactly why I'm glad they were still an open cup, with the front office already telling us they aren't looking to improve this team, which astounds me considering how well the team has been playing and once again proves they don't care about winning. This is the team in defense for this season. I can see a goal like this being why they're limited in the fall and winter. So, Eric, again, also, I saw you on Wednesday, Eric. I'm always happy to see you, so it was great to have a quick interaction with you, but we'll get to your point in a second because I think it is a good point. Mandy says, Valerie, I have a torn meniscus and an brace and didn't expect to be standing at a corner. Well, Mandy, you got to keep your head on swivel out there. Eric says, we should be talking about the two awesome goals and great play by Rick, not be dragged down by the two soft goals. Listen, we mentioned the first goal led by injured Rick. Let's get to the second half. So the second half comes around, and what we were worried about as Union fans, maybe some more vocal than others. I know I was a bit more vocal about this. What would happen when the defense falls asleep on the goalkeeper and allows their opponent to have an easy look at net? In the second half, in the 61st minute, you had exactly that. What's his name? Max Arfson, completely wide open, right behind the back line. Nobody within about 3 or 4 yards of him, has a pretty easy volley into the net to make it 1-1. And at this point, you're thinking, well, that's exactly what we were worried about. How is this team going to respond, though? How is this team going to pick themselves up in this moment against a tough opponent when they've been playing well in the first half? You had the momentum entering the half, right? You get that goal right before stoppage time, or right in stoppage time, basically. You enter the locker room with a 1-0 lead. Yes, you gave up a goal within the first 15 minutes of the second half. You still have half an hour to play. How are you going to respond? And if you're going to look at what Mandy mentions here, the Frankie Golasso, that was one of the strongest and well-placed kicks that I've seen out of anyone in that team for quite some time. He absolutely blasted that right on his laces. If it didn't hit the back of the net and it went over the net, it may have killed somebody in the river end. It was such a perfectly struck ball that absolutely blasted through the back of the net. And I'm so happy for Frankie, but it showed a great resiliency from this team. And you catch your opponent coming off their goal a little bit maybe flat-footed in that regard. And we've always said in soccer, the best time to counter and get a goal on your opponent is right after they score, because there's going to be about that 5-minute to 10-minute window where they're kind of like a little bit more relaxed. And you exactly hit it right there. Phenomenal goal by Frankie Westfield. I've only seen it about one time since I was driving back. I saw the replay real quick at a red light, but I have to watch that again and watch the build-up. I think it was Damiani and Quinn out there trying to get to the build-up. But Westfield, right place, right time, spectacular goal. Mandy mentions here, reminded me of El Brujo's first goal. Absolutely, Mandy. Absolutely. I mean, just a screamer into the net. And there was absolutely nothing that the goalkeeper could do about it. It was great. And I talked about this on Thursday. Frankie Westfield has been such a bright spot for this Philadelphia Union club. I mean, in terms of reliability, physicality, attitude, energy, I love it. I mean, he is the definition of a Philadelphia player. I absolutely have fallen in love with Frankie Westfield. And I know Kyle Albany and Jillian Albany and everybody who watches the Union too. I know our friend Vince, who joins the comments once in a while. They've always said you got to watch out for Frankie Westfield. You have to watch him in the Union too. He looks a great player. He's going to do so well in the first team. And I regret not having watched him more with the Union too. But he's absolutely lived to the hype Jillian and Kyle and all of them who are big Union 2 fans and supporters have talked about. He's been phenomenal. And he is the reason why you have a battle at center back with Nathan Harriel and Glavinovic and Makanya and Pierre and Glesnes rather than a battle at right back. He has locked that position down. And at this point, I don't want to see Harriel on the right back position. You leave Frankie Westfield in there, you let him do his thing, give him rest when he needs a rest. But I think Frankie Westfield has been maybe what I hoped Nathan Harriel was last year. I think if you talk to Kyle Almany and myself, probably we were hoping that Olivier Mbaizo was 2 years ago. I think we've been wanting that progression from right back for quite some time. Of course, Kai Wagner, phenomenal left back, one of the best left backs in MLS. You can't ignore how good that left side is. But we've been wanting that right back to kind of complement Kai on the opposite end. So we were hoping Olivier was him. He's not that guy. He has his moments, and then he has his terrible moments as well, which we've seen time and time again. Nathan Harriel, we've seen him have some great moments, but at the same time, we've seen him get burned pretty bad on the right side. And again, fit pretty comfortably in center back position. I think Frankie has absolutely been the guy we've been hoping for the last 2.5, 3 years on the right back position. So again, I'm pretty upset about tonight's draw, but if you're looking for those bright spots, Andrew Rick, Frankie Westfield, Lukic and Danley's paired together. Indy Vasiliev continues to be a high energy type of guy that you really wanted to see out of Daniel Gazdag more. I love Vasiliev and what he's brought to this team. Quinn Sullivan's really good, but these young guys in Westfield and Rick have really, really impressed me. Again, let's keep going about this game. So you're up 2-1. And now here I'll bring these comments with Ua, and I think they're very, very... You're holding him accountable. I think you should. Lord of Olympia joins us tonight. If Ua hits that sitter late, game over. Eric right here says, Ua to miss that point-blank attempt, which would have sealed the deal 3-1. So frustrating. Mandy says, it feels like Harrell's ability to win aerial duels is more valuable as center back too. I agree 1,000% as well, Mandy. I know Jose kind of hinted at this on Thursday. His athletic ability, his vertical ability, his one-on-one defense, it just seems to fit really well right now. And even though you have a 2-2 draw, and I know we're not happy with that result, completely fair, this team is still showing that they can compete. Well, I wouldn't say they're still showing. I think they're starting to show that they can compete at a higher level. And you don't sometimes want to mix too much with what's working well. And I think right now, the back line of Kai, Glesnes, Harriel, and Frankie is working. And with Lukic and Danley in front of them, I trust that back six. I do. It's those mental errors in between that really piss all of us off. But I think that the back six has been reliable for the most part. They were mostly reliable tonight for most of the match. And I think when we've had this discussion now for a few weeks, this may be the most frustrating or maybe not as skilled center back duo that we've seen over the last couple of years, especially when we had Mark McKenzie and Jack Elliott and Glesnes playing at a high level. Seeing the development of the players around those two positions has been promising for what we can see for the rest of the year. Valerie says, off topic, the Red Bulls beats LA Galaxy 7-0. Well, considering we have LA coming to town on Wednesday, 5/14 at 7:30 p.m. Valerie, that's phenomenal. We want to see a team limping in here. And you know what? If you're going to think of mental, I guess, place, right? You have LA limping into Chester, PA. You have a Union team who should, keyword is should, they should be pissed off. They should be in the locker room right now, agitated. They let 2 points slip away against the best team in the Eastern Conference. They should be agitated that they could have had the first place seed in the Eastern Conference tonight at 10:07 p.m. and they let it slip through their hands. Now, do I care if we're in first place on May 10th? No, I want to be in first place at the end of the season, right? That's when I want to be in first place, but you take your moments when you have them, and tonight they let that moment slip. And tonight was very much reminiscent of what we saw the last 2 years, where you had these chances to handle your business at home, and you didn't. It reminds me very much of the Cincinnati match last year when you had a chance to handle a weaker opponent and you didn't. Jose Nunez mentions this pretty often, at least he has over the last couple of years, when you had the Red Bulls at home in the 2022 season, and you blow it, I think, when you had a man up or whatever it was with the red card. So it's those times where it just reminds you so much of years past where they just cannot get the job done. They can't seem to turn it up that one final notch here to get it done. Mandy mentions Rick became the youngest keeper to get an assist tonight with that secondary. Yeah, Mandy, absolutely phenomenal job by Rick. Round of applause to him. He's a keeper of the future. He has to be, for me personally. He has to be. He is exactly what you want in that net to replace Andre Blake. And massive shoes to fill, of course, right? He'll never be Andre Blake. Well, you never know, right? He could be better, whatever. But it's very large shoes for this young man to fill, and he's done a great job. But let's talk about the UA sitter real quick. So you bring in Chris Donovan. Now, I've talked about this, I think it was like a month ago with Chris Donovan. I said he is not the guy who's going to go score a goal with 30 minutes to go. He is the guy you bring on with 10 minutes or so to go. I'm going to actually look up the substitutions right now to see when he came on. He came on, 79th minute. Chris Donovan replaces Quinn Sullivan. He's the guy you bring on 10 minutes to go, right? 79th minute. And you say, run your ass off. If you get the ball, don't do anything stupid. Play hard. And if you find yourself pushing to the opposition's net with a lead or whatever, hit the corner, hold up the ball, and again, don't do anything dumb. And I thought what Chris Donovan did in that sequence right there leading up to the UA shot was great. I thought it showed veteran presence. He got the ball, he held on to it. He didn't just take a shot in net. He absolutely could have taken a shot in net. And we saw Quinn Sullivan take a couple shots from that angle a couple times from the left side. So I was expecting him to shoot, and he didn't. He just calmly positioned himself in the box, and I thought he passed it to UA perfectly. I thought it was an easy pass for Michael. And I have been praising Michael UA all season. I do think he has been an underappreciated player for the Philadelphia Union. I think he's had a strong season. I think he's contributed in more than just goal scoring. He's had assists. He's had good plays off the ball. But as soon as he missed that ball, I looked at that goal. I looked at the clock and said, "Oh my God, we still have to play defense for another 2.5 minutes. Is that going to kill us?" And sure enough, and I'm sure half of you guys watching and in the comments probably thought that's going to come back and bite us, right? That's going to be the way the Philadelphia Union are going to blow this game, is that they're going to miss a wide open chance in net and they're going to blow it. And sure enough, they did. And that's the thing that we talked about now the last couple of weeks. The ball has bounced the Union's way multiple times. We've seen DC United miss multiple chances against Andre Blake. We saw CF Montreal miss chances against Andre Blake in Montreal, and we thought the ball's bouncing the Union's way right now. Even the UA goal against Montreal, the ball bounced the way that for Michael UA that night. But tonight, when you needed the ball to bounce your way just a little bit longer, UA completely misses a wide open chance on that to finish the game off. And I watched the replay. I think Sebastian Letou, who does a great job with Dave Leno on the radio commentary, he mentioned I think he just hit it with the wrong foot. And you know what? Honestly, even if he didn't take a shot at goal, I wouldn't care if he just held on to it and tried to kill some more time. But just having that just shank right off the foot, it killed me. And I think if you're looking at from a morale standpoint, if you think of moral victories, you can say, well, we drew against 2-2 against Columbus. I'm not viewing this as a moral victory type of performance. You had it right there in your hands to seal the deal and make it 3-1 and walk away with a very impressive win against Columbus. Because if Michael UA finishes it off right there, we close the game 3-1, and we're all saying now, well, this team is really this team could mean some business. This team could make a run into the MLS playoffs. And now because of another boneheaded mistake from the defense, which we see now multiple years now, and it absolutely drives me nuts because these are just such careless mistakes. You're having a completely different conversation. And going back to Eric's point that he mentioned a few minutes ago, How can Tanner and Sugarman look at this roster and think, that's it, we're done. We're fine. We're okay. This is the roster that's gonna get us to the end here. This team is maybe one piece away from really being a good squad. And I think I even though I said in the show on Thursday, and Jose mentioned it as well, center back is a need, but you don't want to block Pierre, and you have Nathan Harrell available, etc. I think tonight showed why you need another center back. You need a reliable player, another reliable player on the back line that has experience, that's going to complement Westfield and Kai and Glessens at a higher level. That's going to solidify this defense because we haven't been frustrated with the offense, right? They're scoring goals. The Philadelphia Union has scored 2 goals tonight. I'll look at it really quick here. They scored 2 goals tonight, 2 goals against Montreal, 3 goals against East United, 3 goals against Atlanta. They were shut out back-to-back games before that, but they've had 4 goals against Cincinnati, 4 goals against Orlando. This team has shown 2 goals against New England. These teams have shown they can score. Now, are they just, obliterating people 6-0 like we saw in 2022? No, of course not. But offensively speaking, this is not the problem of this club. And we even the games where we had those 0-0 losses or that draw and you weren't scoring goals, you had like 23 shots. So you knew that it was coming. You knew that the shots were there. They just weren't finding the net. So offense is not the problem here. And especially with the development of Ua, Ty, and Damiani as your top 3 forwards, it's reminiscent of when you had Corey Burke back there. Offense is not the problem. The problem is very much still these defensive moments, these defensive lapses when you're leaving these keepers completely out to dry, whether it's Andre Blake, whether it's Andrew Rick, whether it's Oliver Sembley, who's probably not going to see the field pending anything significant, knock on wood. So yeah, Eric, I get it. Like, why the hell can we just lock this team up a little more? Give us some more competition. Put another center back out there. You saw tonight exactly why you need at least one more player. And I feel like that's been the mantra of the Philadelphia Union now for what feels like years. We're just one player away. And we never just seem to get that one player away. I want to add on some comments here as I take a sip of my. I don't know if you guys are local to South Jersey at all. I know Eric, I believe, is Tonewood Brewing. This beer is called Poolside. Very refreshing beer. I've had a very long day. I mean, quite literally been up since 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. This beer is the perfect way to end my night with my little beer koozie. Okay. Feeling better now. So I'm going to bring up some more comments. Eric says, they were doing that in Open Cup on Wednesday as well. Luckily, we didn't have as many sky shots, but it clearly was there. Eric then continues, but this is why I'm frustrated. I'm more positive in this team than I've been since the CL lost to LAFC in 2023. The problem is they need a piece or two to solidify things on defense and probably elsewhere. It frustrates me that I don't foresee some additional help to feel like we're ready to go for it. Valerie says the MLS Pass crew were full of praise for the Union before the game. Mandy says that Ty's goal put him back on top of the boot race. Also know Quinn was up there in assists. I'm not sure, Mandy. I actually would love to see if I can Google that real quick. MLS leaders, goal leaders. See, this is where it gets hard when I'm by myself because I'm trying to do this stuff as well. So I'm going to try to pull it up here real quick and see what I can find here while I'm talking. And Valerie says he's tied with Kuipers right now. Okay, great. Thank you, Valerie, for being my eyes and ears here. Eric says Sugarman told us in the town hall last year he'd rather win long-term than win one. Translation, enough success to keep everyone interested and hopefully, but an organization who won't go all in like the Eagles or Phillies. Again, I think, and I know, Eric, I don't think you were here for our Thursday pregame emergency pod show that we had with Jose and I in the afternoon, but one of the things I said was this Ben Bender move feels like a win now move, but in the Union's version of a win now move, aka we added an MLS caliber player. He's good enough to play right now. He can contribute to the system and team right now. I know Jose, I believe, called him like a Timu version of Brendan Aronson. So from a visual standpoint, it looks like they're adding to the roster to compete now. But at the same time, he's had injuries. He hasn't been really productive. He's had time in USL, and he's only 24. So he's a project that's going to take a couple years. So to your point, 100%, Eric, it's a win now move for the Union, but it's really much a win long term. Let's see how much we can develop him, a former Union Academy product, in the next couple years. Mandy says South Jersey, woohoo. Listen, Mandy, South Jersey, born and raised, Cherry Hill, Marlton area. So I always go to Zed's. I think Eric's been to Zed's before. If you guys are ever at Zed's in Marlton, I don't have the hat on right now, and I usually have a Zed's drink or something with me to show them off. I love Zed's. So if you're ever in South Jersey by Zed's at a Union game, check us out. Or check me out, whatever, say hello. Valerie says, or who won't go all in like Atlanta? And Atlanta's a great counterpoint to, well, just because you spend a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to have a big result, right? With your roster, and we saw that with Toronto as well. Spending money doesn't always guarantee a win. So I understand why the Union are playing it this way with a small ball, and I get it. They've had the success to say, well, we've been able to do it with this money ball type of approach, but just once, Valerie and Eric and everybody who joined us, just once, I want to see them just go all in on a player, like the Eagles, like the Phillies. Even like the Sixers in a way, going all in and trying to make a real push for a contender. Mandy says we've been to Zed's, but we're southern, more southern. I don't know, whatever. But again, great. Love having South Jersey people in the mix. Eric says, but Atlanta doesn't have the academy and the Union do. Other teams can balance it. Eric says, why can't we? That's a great question. There is no reasonable response. It's just simply the ownership doesn't want to do it. They are happy with what they're doing right now on the field. And performances like tonight, unfortunately, Eric, performances like tonight are the ownership's example of, well, we can compete against Columbus with this roster. Look what we put together. We're good enough to compete against them. We're good enough to beat them. So why should we add more? Why should we go all in on one player when we've done enough with the surrounding things? But if you want to talk about our good pal Jim Curtin, and what he's always said was this team has to play all 11 players at a high level to win a game. We don't have someone like a Cucho or Acosta or anyone else you can think of. High caliber player who's going to take over as superstar. We don't have that superstar. We have one in the back in between the posts, Andre Blake. But when you're talking about the 11, the other 10 players on the field, we don't have that. And Curtin said that time and time again. When you're competing against the Union, you know that all 11 players have to play at a high level. And if one or two players do not, it's noticeable. If one or two players fall asleep, like we saw tonight, it's noticeable. Kai Wagner loses his man in the back post on your final set piece of the game. Just gets beat off the man. It's 2-2. And it was so obvious that it was going to happen. Again, maybe I'm just a pessimist when it comes to the Union. I think or just a Philadelphia fan in general. Maybe I'm just a pessimist. But as soon as I missed that sitter, I was like, yeah, that's it. We're 2-2. Here we go. It's just coming. You can feel it coming from a mile away. So I try to be optimistic overall as a Philadelphia fan. I'm a big Sixers fan, for those of you who don't know. And I suffered through the process with optimism because I knew the result was going to be better than the current state. So I try to be optimistic. And from an optimistic standpoint, the Philadelphia Union can compete against the tougher opponents in the Eastern Conference. From an optimistic standpoint, the Philadelphia Union are hosting LA Galaxy, which are just a spiraling club at this point, which is a shame because I actually do like the players of LA Galaxy. Todd Lewis joined us. And Jose, I believe. Look, Jose, I'm wearing this shirt. I'll bring you guys on in a second. Actually, no, I'll just bring you on now. I can't. Oh, there they are. My handsome friends. Listen, I have been so thirsty doing this by myself, so I'm going to take a sip for this. Todd Lewis, Jose Nunez at Super Park, still in the dining room. Todd, I'll go looks before him, before age. How you doing tonight, Todd?
I feel like the last 20 minutes I've been trying not to choke up because of, I guess, pollen. I guess I swallowed pollen, and it's like
Wait, Todd, can
not
I
a good
say
feeling.
something? When I got back into my car, I sneezed 20 times in a row on my way. I was trying to avoid not getting into an accident as just the pollen got me today. But go ahead.
Yeah. So that's how we're doing. But interesting, I guess, post game presser that we had. I don't know, Mike, if you got a chance to listen to any of it or talk about it on the show.
No.
I'll let Jose do the talking, but all in all, I mean, it's a point that I think. That's a little bit hard done for the Union. I think they played good enough to get the win
Yeah.
and to give a goal up as late as they did on a set piece. And uh, for listeners that are listening, last year in Columbus, the Union gave up 2 set piece goals, and here they go, dying embers of the game. They give up yet again another set piece goal, and the Union are so good at defending, set pieces, and so good at scoring set pieces. And so it's like any time that they concede, it's a little bit shocking, but look, good teams on set pieces are eventually going to concede goals, and it's unfortunate for the Union to concede one so late, with Nathan getting beat on the near post by Diego Rossi, which is crazy. It's a good flick one by Rossi, and then Zawadzki just outmuscles Kai Wagner, and it's tied 2-2. So yeah, it was a disappointing ending to I think a pretty exciting game for the Union. A game plan that the Union clearly seemed like they had. Taking out the midfield for Columbus, and um, credit to Bradley Carnell and his staff for approaching this game the way that they did, having a game plan how to get the most out of the team against I would say probably the best team in MLS in Columbus Crew.
Without the best one of the best goalkeepers in the league, right? To be able to do what they did it's unreal.
Jose, I want to ask you this question because I think Kyle brings up a great point here. So Dan, our good friend Dan, says 2 moments of inept defending and questionable substitutions stole a draw from the jaws of victory. Now Kyle says here, and I thought this as well, but we had 20 minutes ago. I didn't want to put too much eggs into this basket until they blew the game. Kyle says, I think more than being frustrated by individual players tonight, I was annoyed at the change to the back five right when it seemed like we were pushing for the third goal, which killed the momentum. Jose, do you think Carnell pushed for holding on to the lead a little too early tonight? Or do you think his move to make things a little bit more defensive was the right call?
I think it was fine. I think what ultimately happened was just a lapse of concentration, maybe being tired at the wrong moment, right? And the lapse, the lacking, or the last, I'm sorry, like, what was it, 2 minutes of added time?
Last minute.
Last minute. I think that genuinely comes from, and I personally hate, and I mentioned this to Todd and others in the press box, I hate using this quantifier of, well, they just played 120 minutes, but it is about that context, right? We talked about this, Mike, when we were together on Wednesday.
And I said no excuses, but go on.
And you're not wrong. It was honestly just a lapse of concentration at the wrong moment there with Kai getting, with Nate getting beat near post, correct? And then Kai sort of just reacting to Nate getting beat, leaving Andrew Rick just sort of stranded. Never mind, back up to the first goal. Just again, I don't know what happens with the defense shape there, where 2 guys are technically on one, leaving Arfston, correct? Yeah, all the way in the back post, 1-on-1 basically for a volley
For the first goal, yeah.
For the first goal on a volley against Andrew Rick. So this is genuinely, and I know it's corny cliche, but these moments, these games are genuinely what separate very, very good teams from good teams to average teams. And I think the Union today looked like a good team, but just not a great team. Had they pulled it off with that win, I think the excuses are out. And Mike, I told you, had Carnell and company pulled this together and won this game, I think a lot of people would have turned their heads even faster and harder about Carnell.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, piggybacking off of what Jose said, is I think the Union, despite conceding 2 goals, I think they played really well defensively. One thing Jose and I talked about at halftime was in the first half, Jacob Glesnes and Nathan Haverhill played excellently. Heading out balls out of the area that were getting crossed in, blocking shots, winning tackles inside the 18-yard box. I mean, they played so well in the first half, and I think that did carry over in the second half as well. And it's 2 moments of, lack of concentration, like Jose was talking about, with Arfstein being free on the back post, and then you have the goal from Zawadzki in the 93rd minute. And it's just 2 moments where you got to be locked on, and 2 moments where good teams are going to punish you. And this is a team that the Union haven't beat in 5 games now. And for whatever reason, the Union just seemed like they don't have the number for Columbus Crew. And I mean, they were close, but again, good teams find ways to get results, and Columbus Crew are a very good team.
Eric mentions here, but again, what we talked about before, they had the game plan, had the play, and still got the draw. This is to Mike's point about needing all 11 to win. 2 bad plays changed the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's frustrating and a staple of the Union, the front office's view, and thing. Valerie says, while I did not see the whole game, it seems to me that considering the context of the week and Andre being out and playing a great team, if you had just told me we drew, I'd be satisfied. I think down the road, once the season ends and you look back on all the results, you think, yeah, that draw against Columbus really paid off.
Well, the same thing is going to be said about Montreal last week, where it was a terrible game from the Union. They get a very late goal from Mikhail Uhre, and nobody's going to remember how that game went. I mean, Montreal was good enough to beat the Union last week, but the Union found a way to get 3 points. And maybe, like you said, Mike, maybe tonight's 1 point is going to be huge come the end of the season. People aren't going to remember that this was close to being a Union win. And you're right. Maybe at the end of the season, this is going to be a huge point.
But Mike, I think to your point, you also remember 2022 where that
I said this earlier, and I said it earlier.
Red Bull draw, right, with a man up, where you don't know all the context, but you sort of remember, like, oh man, that one really mattered, and why was it almost like a little like snapping, trying to jog your memory type of thing.
Right.
But I don't think this is a good thing, right? Where the expectations are high now after everybody that was on whether you're a Sons of Ben or a regular supporter or just a listener of our work with Mike and Todd, the expectations are so high for this team that, like, it's good to see that people are disappointed that this was a draw, right? Because I think in a different world, a lot of people would have been totally fine with this being a 2-1 loss or a 2-0 loss, right? Like, I think it's really telling of how much the opinion around this team has turned in 1/3 of a season.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at the start of the game, if you would have told fans that the Union are going to get a point away from Columbus, I think fans would have felt good with that. So, I mean, there's just so many ways that we can spin this, right? And just knowing how good Columbus is, knowing that the Union were coming into this game, 4 games they hadn't got a win against Columbus. Would you have been surprised that the Union would have lost it? No, and I think that's why fans would have been accepting of coming in here and getting a point. And to be that close to getting all 3 points makes it even harder to swallow that they left 2 points on the table.
I think one thing that we have to kind of discuss. Well, first of all, Nicholas Pariano saw the bench today. This is his first time in the bench this season so far. Am I wrong with that?
First time.
Okay. I think if you're focusing on one, kind of Eric's point, like, this is the roster, this is who you're going to have for the rest of the season. They're not going to push for another player. I think one thing I have liked so far from Carnell, and one thing we saw tonight, was he has more trust in this roster than Jim Curtin did. 100%. And even if he does not fully trust this roster, he's going to roll with these guys no matter what. And I think if you're talking about a confidence standpoint, that's huge for players like Jeremy Raffanello, Macania, Chris Donovan. Look at the substitutions tonight. Raffanello for Lukic, Bueno for Danley, Chris Donovan for Quinn Sullivan, Macania for Ty Baribo, and Ua for Damiani, which is basically, understood. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4 players last year who were, I'd say 3 players last year who didn't see the field basically at all. Donovan, who was overused because they didn't have a third striker. But Carnell's throwing these guys out there, and this is a difficult situation. Hey, Donovan, I need you to play defense for 10 minutes. Hey, Raffanello, close this game out with 5 minutes to go. I mean, these are tough situations. This was a playoff type of atmosphere, and Carnell is giving these guys a lot of trust. Now, yeah, maybe you do have this 2-2 draw here, and maybe this fucking sucks, and you're going to be in the locker room saying, yeah, we should have got it. But this experience these players are getting could be the reason why you beat Columbus down the road. This could be the reason why you pull off a tough draw on the road or get a hard win on the road, because now these players have this confidence. Like, yeah, my coach trusts me to put me out there in a tough situation. I'm going to go perform. So, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about how his substitutions were tonight, or maybe any reaction on his trust on the roster.
I'm just indifferent about the whole thing. I think it's substitutions. The game, I honestly, I go back to this was literally one moment away, and I don't know that you can attribute substitutions to a single lapse of concentration. I don't know how to answer that question, because I'm still stuck with the fact that it's literally 30 seconds of play that made the difference here between 3 points and 1 point. And maybe that is a substitution. I don't know. I haven't processed it fully, so maybe I'll revert back to Todd.
Yeah, and I think, so many times fans would argue, okay, Jim Curtin's not using his bench enough. He doesn't trust these guys and everything. And I think, Jim Curtin does have a point, because it's like you mess up that defensive structure. And with these substitutions, did the Union mess up their defensive structures on that set piece towards the end of the game? It's possible. And so, I can see why Jim Curtin, is bullish on his substitutions. And one thing that he would always tell us is he doesn't want to change the back line too often. And, the Union do go from a back 4 to a back 5. And actually, I mean, before the game, I was telling Jose, this is the way, and some other people, this is the way that I would have started the game, going with a back 3, playing 3 center backs. And yeah, I know that the Union really don't have the depth to play a back 3 right now because of all the injuries to the center backs with Jan and Neil. But I thought the Union would have matched up better with a back 3 compared to a back 2 center backs, back 4, whatever you want to call it. But actually, the Union did play good in a back 4. And so, to the Commodores' points tonight, did it make sense changing how the Union wanted to defend? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll take the same route that Jose is saying, where, yeah, I'm indifferent to it, because, so many people the last couple of weeks, whether it be on my show, whether it be on your guys' show, where people are praising the substitutions. And then when it kind of seems like it goes against you, now people are complaining about it. So it's like, you can't win them all.
If you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah,
Eric
exactly.
says, does he get the pull from Curtin's substitution bank? We have so many saved since 2014 with interest accruing. That's a very good comment, Eric. Yeah, I think, Todd, you can't have it both ways. You complain that they're using them, you complain you're not using them. This is the roster we have, and I think Carnell's trying to make the most out of this roster. And I was fine with the 4 in the back. I said earlier in my show, I thought Glesson's had some really good tackles in the first half. I thought Nathan Harriet has been continuing to play fine in the center back position. Frankie
Question
Westfield,
for you, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, obviously, none of us here are professional soccer players, but let's say you are, right? And your natural positions are right back, and you continue to be played out of position, whether it's as an attacking midfielder, whether it's a left back, whether it's as a center back. I mean, would that annoy you at all? I mean, yeah, you're getting game time, but you're also getting played in positions where you didn't grow up playing that. And now you're kind of getting exposed playing out of position. Now, granted, to Nathan Harriel, to his credit, he's looked good playing as a center back at times. He's looked good at times playing as a left back. But at the same time, it's like, it's not his natural position.
This actually happened to me, Todd. I'm not even joking you. So I was naturally a right back to start my soccer career, right? And then one game we had, it was like we were losing 2-0 or something like that. And my boss, my coach, put me out at forward, and I headed a ball. Like, the keeper went up for the ball, and I headed it in between his hands. It went out of bounds, but he was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know you could." Like, you had that speed. So then he put me at forward for like the rest of my time. Now, granted, I grew into that role, but as I became older and I ended up going to through high school and like adult leagues, I went back to right back because that's where I felt most comfortable. But 100%, Todd, in that position, I don't know what to do here. I don't feel comfortable here, but I wanted to play more than anything. I wanted to play. So I think Nathan is a kind of player who's just going to go for it versatility wise. And he's like, I can play whatever you want me to play. And I'm just going to go out there and be a team player. But I'm sure there's a part of him that says that position that Westfield was in was my spot. And he was supposed to be on left back, because I think he played left back for the Union too.
Yeah.
So it's almost like maybe he's frustrated too, because I don't think he wants to play left back. And Kai Wagner's certainly not coming out. So he probably feels kind of stuck. But as I said before, I think he's better at center back. Sorry, Nathan. I think you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? I mean, Bradley Cornell talked about it. You guys talked about it on the show, Bradley Cornell, during the week, saying that, yeah, Chris Donovan could play center back. So it's obviously to all of us. I mean, Bradley Cornell mentioned it during his pregame presser that, versatility matters to him, players being able to play in multiple positions. And so if you're a player that can play different spots, if you're a player that doesn't mind playing multiple spots, then you're going to get picked into this lineup under Bradley Cornell.
Yeah, it's all about the versatility with this guy. He's a fascinating fella.
Absolutely. Mandy says, can we talk about Jacob absolutely clearing out Danny? I don't remember this. Was this in the second half? Because I might have missed this.
I have that clip on
You
my
do have
computer.
it,
I think
yeah.
I show you. Yeah, it was a very, very good tackle.
It was in the first half.
Yeah, but he was kind enough, Daniel, to invite Philadelphia Press to chat with him for a few minutes. So we had the opportunity. We did not take it. I don't know what I would have. I don't know that I would have asked him in a group with 6 other guys. So I figured, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna stand there and just ask him or rehash the question that someone asked, or just stand there because someone else asked it.
Eric says, this reminds me when he was in Little League and he came in to save our best pitcher and he ended up walking about 20 batters in a row afterwards. Eric, yeah, there's little things in like those like youth leagues you never forget. Todd, your good friend, Domesticated Hoagie, says, we need to protest. I love a protest. Philly protest. I'm down for a protest. I still have the sign, by the way, guys, from the Sons of Ben protest in my garage. I found it the other day. She says as well, these guys are paid money. We need a win. Yeah, and listen, this goes back to what I said on Thursday. I think the excuses are out the window. You could say, sure, maybe if we didn't go into PKs with Indy 11, we would have won. My counter to that is, well, don't let that happen then.
Nope,
go ahead and be the better team.
33 shots against Indy 11, 1 goal.
You're not wrong. Well, now the Union reel back and go into the Galaxy on Wednesday. So we'll see how they turn around.
A Galaxy team that got steamrolled 7-0.
Yeah, Galaxy lost 7-0 today. They'll look to make themselves look somewhat professional when they come to Philadelphia.
Well, Lord of Olympia says here a few minutes ago, despite the Galaxy's record, is Wednesday a trap game? Very well could be. Especially because you have to travel to Atlanta on Saturday. Even though Atlanta's record isn't that great, going to Atlanta is a tough place to play. Sure, I could see them saying, like, all right, we'll handle Galaxy at home. No big deal. We'll shoot down to Atlanta and handle business down there. So, yeah, this very much feels like the Montreal match. Is it a trap game for the Philadelphia Union? Lord of Olympia says, what is Blake's prognosis? Did Carnell mention anything?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's nothing to share. I asked the question and Bradley deflected. He did not want to answer and asked that I only ask about the game.
Wow, you got yelled at in the press conference? I didn't get to see it.
Run the clip back.
Well, watch it on YouTube. It's on there.
You'll see it. And I will pat myself on the back. I pivoted as smoothly as the next person could. Anybody could, I think. But, I asked, I think it's very important, right? This is a 3-time MLS goalkeeper of the year, guy who is a legend here. Did not get the nod today, whether it was injury or earned for Andrew Rick. It's still worthy of a question, but it is what it is. No answer on what's going on with Blake.
We have Domesticated Hoagie trying to make plans with Mandy to go to Larimer. I've never met Domesticated Hoagie. I would be honored to meet.
We met her. You were with us right now?
No, I met her soon-to-be husband.
Oh, you never met her?
Rovers.
Yeah, Philly Rovers.
Oh, wait, Philly Rovers is Domesticated Hoagie's fiance? Look,
I think.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
Can you confirm, Hoagie? Is he going to be your significant other for life, or until death do you apart?
Hoagie Rover. Interesting. I love it. It was funny because on Wednesday I was like hanging out with Valerie and I saw Eric. So I'm like, oh, this is Eric from the comments. This is Valerie from the comments. This is Steve Fuentes from the comments. Like everybody kind of just mingles together from the YouTube comments. So I love that the interaction. So a Domesticated Hoagie
guy looks like he wants us out of here.
I think we need to probably wrap up, Mike, as security guard just did the quickest lap around here, probably staring into our space.
54 minutes anyway. We had a good show. Guys, appreciate you joining us as always. Love to see you, Jose. next episode we have, I'm going to have all the stuff to show off what you were hoarding in your car. That way everybody can see. But as you can see, I have my hoodie on. Very comfortable. Very comfortable. Thanks to Johnny Uleka from AAT Birds, AAT Sports Network. But this is Across the Pitch post-game show. That's Todd Lewis. I still have your stuff here, Todd. Follow him at the Free Kick, at Free Pick a Pod, and a Todd's Life. It's a Todd Life on Twitter, right there below. Jose R. Nunez 91 on Twitter. Substack you guys have going on. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody in the comments. Appreciate it. Tough game tonight, but 2-2 draw. I'll let you guys go so you don't get arrested. Go Union.